Alright, so let's jump straight into it. I'm working on a 2019 Chevy Impala, and this is going to be a little voiceover. I'm going to be showing y'all how to get this transmission out, just removal process only. So right now what I'm removing is the battery. Also, if you're not mechanically inclined, this ain't for you. Please do not attempt. This is only for people who know how to do certain stuff to a certain degree. You just need your little guide. So I'm getting this battery out. The positive, I got negative cable off. The negative cable, it is a 10mm nut. It's like a little fuse distribution block thingy going on right there at the positive cable, so you could separate it in pieces if you want to. Usually it's just a couple tabs that's locked around the battery, so if you get in there with like a pick or a screwdriver and lift up on a tab and pull away on the cable, then you should be able to get it up, and just like that. And then you're gonna like move it out the way because you're gonna need that out your way to get the battery out. Mind you, this is going to be a long video, 47 minutes long, and I apologize, but I could have split it, but I wanted to do it in one. Next, I am taking it's a 13mm nut and looking for something set up, probably a 1/4" ratchet with a 13mm socket on it. And I'm going to, that is the power wire that runs from the starter to the positive side on the battery where the distribution block is right there. So that's what I'm doing right there. I'm taking it off. Could you leave it on? You could, but how are you going to get the battery out, right? So this is just my easier way of getting this battery out, and I don't care if you have any other ways. This is my way. My way is fast. Once again, I do not care how others do things. I do things in a way that I can get in and out, just like that is explained. So there is some type of plastic thingy thingy that literally just slides up, and it looks like it got like a hose clamp on it, plastic wire hose clamp or wire clamp. Next, I'm removing the it's like a little stay thingy mount that keeps the battery in place, and that is a 13mm bolt. And once you get that out the way, you should be able to remove the battery. Also, that's like a tie down strap thingy on the positive side, so you'll see in a second. You'll know when you can't lift the battery out. See, I can't lift the battery out, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So if you lift that stay, it's like a little strap mount. Get that out of there, and you'll be able to get it out. So see how the way I got the battery out? That's how you get it out. And there are 1, 2, 3, 2 13mm bolts, and then actually there's a third bolt in the back. If you I'll show you in a second. It'll be hard for you to get in there, but you already can see that I got the setup there already, the 13mm setup with my electric ratchet. I am sneaking behind, so it's between the battery tray and the coolant reservoir, and you'll be able to see it. And the stay mount is the strap is also mounted in place with that bolt, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Next, I'm getting off the 13mm bolts. There's 2 of them. And once you get that off, you should be able to lift up on the whole battery tray. They're not quite yet because you got like a couple like harness clamps that you need to like you can use your 2 fingers and pinch them, and on the side to get them off, or you could use your plastic trim tool remove. Oh, also the ECM or PCM I just lifted up literally just comes up just like that. And mind you, this tray came out a couple of times. Literally, so because this car had issues with transmission issues, so it's probably I'm usually, when I come to a job, I'm just walking in on somebody's mess, so it was a previous mess that I was asked to fix basically. So that's what I'm doing. So taking off the engine shield, there's a Torx what's it, like a T30 you can use for the screw. Get that off, or it should be a 10mm, I'm not sure, but usually it's just a Torx or a 10mm because you can figure it out on your own common sense. Get your shield out the way, so that way you got access to extra stuff. So right now what I'm doing is removing the shift cable, and I'm using my trim tool removal thingy, and just lift up off of it. Comes out the grommet. Be careful not to damage the grommet, or you will be replacing the grommet, and it's hard to replace. You had to replace the whole shifter cable. Basically, they do have kits for it, but it's a pain in the ass to replace. While I got access, there's a 15mm bolt. I'm using my long ratchet wrench that got a flex head on it, and getting that out. That will be a pain in the ass, so you might can get in there with like a stubby probably. I'm not sure. Either way, with the stubby, it's gonna be a pain in the ass, but it's a 15mm bolt. I'll let you figure that out. I'll let you choose what tools you got. Who knows what tools you got? I don't know. I'm already 5 minutes in this video. I got like 43 minutes left. Oh man, we're gonna be in here for a long one, but that's my job basically. So it is what it is. So what are we doing next? Next, I think there is another. It's three of them I'm removing. Basically, I'm removing the bolts from off the belt housing. So the one in the back I removed with the ratchet wrench, and this one I got access to and get in there with a swivel socket and 15 millimeters, like I said. And I like to work from top to bottom because I'm not that guy that's going top to bottom, back and forth, back and forth. Is usually once or twice, unless I'm separating the side mount. But usually I'll work one and one basically. And then there's another one down by close to where the starter is. Not exactly, but you'll be able to see the transmission. The shape goofily, but a little goofy. But if you follow transmission cooler lines, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or blow up this video on a full screen, you should be able to see because it is HD, so you should be able to see it clearly. Basically, slow down the video. So sneak in there, get in there, whatever remedy you got, just go ahead and do so. And I guess I'm gonna give myself a second to fish that boat out. Like I said, I can't get in there with a camera to show y'all. Y'all won't be able to see. It'd be too dark. Plus, I got a head mount set up, GoPro situation, and this is the best POV view, point of view, basically. And yeah, you get what I mean, basically. Sorry, I had to like burp or whatever. Got that boat out with a magnet because I couldn't get it. It fell. Next, looks like I am separating the 13 millimeter nut that's on a rear cooler line on the back of the transmission. And you get in there with like a swivel something. I got a swivel socket basically. That's like I said, 13 millimeter. It's not a deep socket, but I was able to catch it a little bit. And nut backed off without a problem. Or you can get that bolt out from the bottom. But like I said, I'm working from top to bottom, not back and forth. So I don't want to keep going back and forth trying to just to get something so simple that I can get out from the top and save myself some time. So I'm going to remove the next 13 millimeter nut that's on the front of the transmission. That's the cooler line. And once you get that off, there's also a plastic bracket that the cooler lines both like locking in as a pair on the side. And you'll see it's like yellowish, tannish a little bit. I'll get in there with like a trim tool or a screwdriver or something, and then I'll separate it. Because it does kind of mount to the side of the little holes that mount to the side of like the bow body cover. To get that out the way, you'll be able to lift up on the cooler lines like with ease, and your mount is not in your way, unlike some of these transmissions. And you'll be, I know, like some of the newer ones, the line run under the mount bracket. We don't have to worry about this one. This one, the line lifts. So once the line lifts up, if you want to like hang it up on some type of wire or something like that so fluid don't leak out, but either way, do not let it hang where gravity does its job and it just leaks out. Keep it like level and keep it out the way. You don't have to move it too far or too much because it is a solid piece that don't bend unless you bend it. So it ain't going too far. So just get it out your way, leave it there, and you Gucci basically. So I did tell you about the ship cable. It separates from there's another bracket once you lift it up off the ground. There's another bracket that you use, pinch your finger up on the you'll see it's common sense removing that ship cable. Next, taking the cat out, front cat, and looks like I'm separating the connector for the upstream O2 sensor. And there's the downstream O2 sensor, but I'll worry about that once I get to the bottom. And there is 4 15 millimeter nuts that go on the basically exhaust flange basically, and you should be able to get in there like a deep socket, a flex racket, something that swivel. This cool tool I'm using is from Harbor Freights. Got a 3/8 end and a 1/4 inch end, and it is flex and don't have like the best torque, but it got enough torque whereas I can sneak in there, slim profile, and I can quickly get those bolts out. You can sneak in there with like a ratchet wrench, but my 15, I don't have I got like a swivel 3/8, but it's not deep unless I soup it up, and even that's going to extend it, and it will no longer be a low profile tool basically. So it's the best option for me. So work your magic, get them out, and sometimes they separate with the nut still on a stud, depending on how tight it was installed, or the stud to stay in there, and then you'll be able to remove the nuts by itself. But you should pray that a stud stay in there because that'll help you mount the the cat back up to the cylinder head, basically, just for alignment purposes. It's just easy because kind of like gotta like hold it just to get it mounted, and it's weighted a little bit at an angle, and it's like really uncomfortable a little bit. So you'll figure it out once you get things to go back together. So I'm still working out the nut. Looking at the timer, I'm like, damn, 30 minutes in. Still got a little long ways to go. Let me check my battery on a recorder. Looks like I got plenty of time, and I'm sync with time, so that reduces my editing time. I want to keep that on cue, basically. So I'm happy about that, basically. So everything on my end. And I could have did this as a part 1 and a part 2, but I wanted to just have it as one setting where one needs to watch it without going through trying to find the other video, or I guess something like this can one damn video, watch the video. Then that's all and I know rendering this is going to take long hours, even uploading to YouTube is going to take hours and hours, but so it'll be worth it in the long run, and that's usually how I make my footprints in the YouTube game off of my creative content that is very extensive and you can sit down and watch for a long time, basically. So what am I doing next? Now that I separated the cat and I moved that out the way? The exhaust flange might be still stuck on a stud. Just you want to leave it on there, you can separate it. If you want to replace it, you could. I usually don't replace them. They don't leak. If it does leak, then I guess I'll just replace it. So simple as that. So I'm gonna set up the lift real quick. I do got the car mounted back ways because in front of the lift, shit everywhere, basically. Shit everywhere. I was trying not to cuss, but that's what I got to say about the shop. Shit everywhere. It's not really one of the cleanest Chevy dealerships I worked at, but I'm gonna keep my mouth shut about it. But see, setting that up, and once I get that set up, lift the car up, and then I guess next I'm gonna take off the tires. And I like to stress this to everybody. When I say everybody, every goddamn body, everybody listen to this shit. If you can't get the damn tires off, yet alone pop the hood. Don't be coming over here thinking you're gonna be learning something, how you gonna get this transmission out, how you gonna do X, Y, and Z. Because you're gonna be looking at somebody who never saw sports a day in their life, go to a damn sports game and try to ask questions, what's going on? What planet are you from? So if you can't get the tire off, it ain't for you. Simply as that. Save yourself time and save yourself the injury. Please, lessen yourself. It's not my job. My job is I do whatever I want, and I'm showing people how to do this job. So that's what I'm doing. So it's 5 lug nuts. Shouldn't have to explain to you how many lug nuts you should be able to count. 22mm socket, deep, shallow, whatever you want to use, just get the damn lug nut off. Take off both tires. Next, I'm taking the 7mm screws. It's like probably 30 of them probably you're gonna be taking it off. Could be less than that, I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot of them, man. I'm separating, basically that's like a shield on a frame I want to remove, and to get that off I kind of gotta separate some of the plastic trimming, molding, whatever they want to call it nowadays. So this is one on the other side too, is split, so it's not like a full under shield. It's split, so I don't know why they didn't just make it one like everybody else, basically. But well, some of the Euro cars, they like to make them in splits too. But even the BMW, you get like a full one that go from both sides of the frame, basically. And I'm still working that off. And also, you're gonna need to get some of the like the wheel well lining. You want to get that out the way a little bit, because the subframe bolt is literally is kind of not buried in. But if you move some of the lining out the way, you will be able to see it. And that's just how far that subframe go up in there. And I believe the radiator do sit on a frame. You don't have to worry about that like hanging, because it is connected to various amounts of hoses, like the cooling hoses, cooler hoses too, and it ain't gonna fall out. It's literally not gonna fall out. It might be like an upper mount on it or something like that, but I just usually hang them in place. If they do fall out to a certain degree, then just put something under to support it. Use like a bungee cord or something like that. So I'm separating a couple plastic cushion clips. More trimming. Yeah, that's the other trim I was taking off, and I kind of like lost my train of thought. I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It's kind of hard to like. I'm like being an instructor. Like I'm sitting here literally, telling y'all. I can just only imagine like these teachers at school when they helping these students out, and I literally sit there for like an hour, 3 hours, however long the class is. That's what they gotta do. I feel for you. But I'm gonna get through this like a champ. This is what we do on my channel. So now I'm taking off the looks like is trying to get to the exhaust, but to get to the exhaust you gotta remove the rear subframe mount bracket, and there's 15mm bolt on both sides, and the main bolt for the subframe bolt is a 21mm. And I like to just leave the bolts in the front of the frame still intact, but just remove the rear brackets. And once you get the rear bracket out, I guess next my exhaust should drop down. I didn't see any additional brackets. Sometimes they like to put a bracket under the cat in the front that mounts up to like the engine where the bell housing is. And I guess on this one it didn't have it. I don't know, whoever worked on this before didn't put it back on, but this one didn't have it. So I'm working off the bolts, and the subframe is going to drop down a little bit. Once it drops down, you should be able to like have like room to at least like I'll do other things like get out the sway link bar. It's like a pair of bolts on both sides, and once you get that bar out the way, you're gonna need that bar out the way because it's in your way. And we'll get to that in a second, basically. So I guess I'm looking for a tool because I don't even remember what I did next. Not always do I work in an order. I work in whatever order I want, but my main order is from top to bottom. So yeah, I'm removing the exhaust bolts, and I think those ones were 13. If I can look at that, so yeah, 15mm for the two bolts in the rear, and then I guess the front. The front ran up to the head, so I was only worrying about the rear cat. So next I'm taking my I got a 13mm swivel, and I'm taking off. Don't let the exhaust hang like this either. If it's leaking and ain't nothing you can do about it, who cares then? But either way, just be careful. It's two 13mm nuts. Take those off, should come off with ease without heating it up, and just get that out the way. And like I said, be careful letting that flex pipe hang. It is pretty strong, but I just see a lot of them coming in leaking already, and customers just don't care. They just want transmission done, basically. And I guess they take it elsewhere to go get the exhaust work done. Who knows? But whatever. Next, I'm taking off the rear. It's like a dog bone mount underneath, like the bottom mount, torque strut mount, whatever you want to call it. But I just call it dog bone mount. That is an 18mm, and there is another front mount. Looks like it's long as hell, and I'm working it out with a wrench and you're backing it off at the same time. Usually them joints is just if you can rock the engine a little bit, you should be able to get it out with ease. But I don't know what's up with that one. Who cares? There's another 18mm bolt in the front, and that one I get in there with a 3/8 gun and 18mm swivel setup. And once you get that bolt out, you should be able to rock the engine back and forth, and that lets you know that, hey, I got the bottom mounts separated. I can almost get the subframe out. So next, I'm working, like I said, there's a pair of bolts, and it's 13mm, and I worked that out. I like my ratchet wrench, and it is a slit in the mating surface for the bracket thing on a sway bar link where the bushing is. It mounts up to the subframe, meaning you'll be able to sneak it out. Once you loosen one bolt, you should be able, and loosen the other bolt, you should be able to sneak it out. We're just only removing one bolt per side, if you get what I'm saying. You'll understand what I'm saying when you in there. Like, I can't give you the full detail angle, but what I can do is walk you through this entire job and that I'm doing, basically. So I'm going to do it for both sides, and leave the back. I don't never separate the sway bar link from the strut. I usually just leave it in there, but or if you want to leave, however you want to leave the subframe on the frame, I I don't do it that way. I literally just leave it in there. Literally just, it makes sense to me basically. Unless it's in my way or something and I need it completely out, which I don't remember the last time, unless I'm doing something old. Who knows? But I'm still working this out. This part is going to take a little time. You might have an issue with sneaking in a good tool. You might not have a ratcheting tool. You will be sitting in there just basically turning it for a long time. However you do it is however you do it basically. And I guess gonna give myself a second to figure out what's going on basically. Looks like I'm still loosening it, and we 20 minutes in this video, by the way, so 27 minutes left. You can watch this video. You can get through your transmission job in your driveway, grandma's driveway, mom's driveway, grandpa's driveway, family's driveway, your driveway, whatever. It is doable, but you're gonna need at least know how to get this. You need to learn how to work in between space, meaning how you're gonna get this car up that damn high to get the frame out, and you're gonna need somebody to help you because you're gonna need muscle. It can be done though, but if you see some of my old videos of me doing, did a bunch of tedious jobs in the driveway, and I got it done literally. Be amazed with what the jack stands for trucks can do. Those 6-ton stands, they do you some justice basically. So I'm running my mouth basically. I'm doing just killing time. Sorry about that. I'm trying to give myself a second to I should have like literally trimmed this part of the video, but usually in these voiceovers I kind of just do like a quick edit and really don't spend much time per second trying to go through the logistics of everything. So I got the sway bar loose now that I removed both bolts, one bolt per side, and I left the other side of the bolts in the frame and literally just separate. Next I'm taking off for the whole power steering rack, the rack and pinion basically, whatever they call it nowadays. I call it power steering. And this is electric steering, and so it's a 18 millimeter bolt, and then there's a nut on top, and there also is a washer on top too. Make sure you get that washer, and the bolt should just come straight down. If it don't come straight down, just you might want to push up on your rack a little bit, and you'll be able to get it to move. And see the washer and my nut, just put it wherever it is you put the tools at basically in your bolts. Next, there are more push-in clips. I think I'm removing about 4 or 5 of them that go under it's like a little, this part of the bumper is like a shield thing basically, and that kind of connects to the front part of the subframe. So once you get that separated, you're gonna need that because that's gonna be preventing you from getting the subframe out, because you got plastic shit still connected to it basically. So get those out. And I guess there is like, should be some 15 millimeter, a pair of 15 millimeter bolts left and right side of the front frame. I guess I'm going to remove, and I'm not going to remove my main front bolts just yet. I'm just going to only before I get to that part, since I'm all jumping the gun, there is some wheel speed sensors you are going to separate from the side of the frame. You can disconnect it if you want. Just separate the clips basically. I know I'm just separating it right here at this part, but on the other side I just remembered that I didn't separate it. Sometimes I'll be forgetting. I don't work on the same model all the time, so you might just use like a step, something small like this, and that's basically all it was. But you don't have to separate it off from the connector. Just literally just separate the pushing tabs and literally like let it hang down. And you're gonna want this out your way because I believe I might have separated this out. Who knows? This is gonna be in your way of getting the frame out, so you want to remove everything you need to off of the subframe so that way you can get the subframe out. So next, you see I got my looks like a 4x2 or a 5x2. It looks like a 4x2 basically. And what I'm doing with this is I like to basically use this as a plateau to balance the subframe. My subframe holder, god damn it. And I got this trick from like a transmission shop I used to work in, and that was like the most vital information or vital thing I ever that stuck to me. So that's what it is. And Should be able to drop the subframe once I get the two main bolts out. Oh, also don't forget to separate the lower control arm bolts. It is a nut and a bolt setup, so it should be 15mm bolts. I believe one time one of them was like 16mm or something like that. I don't remember, but this one is 15mm both sides. So get you a wrench. I gotta use my ratchet wrench, and then I'm gonna hit it with the gun on the other side. And make sure you use like an extension or two. Kind of like stuff in the way, like the head of my gun is so damn big, it shit in the way, basically. But got it out. Those come out with ease. Like this one been out before already, so some of them you might have to like get in there with a punch, knock it out. Whatever it is you got to do, or run it in with the gun and spin it just to break up that debris off of the bolt. You should be able to come out with ease, just soak it up or something like that. So I'm doing the driver's side, do it for both sides, and if you don't take these off, this will prevent you from getting the subframe out. It just it'll be hard, basically, is what I'm trying to say, basically. So next, what am I doing? I guess I keep all my bolts under the lift, on the lift or under the lift at the base. I know what things are best that way. I could put them in separate containers or all in one pile like everybody else, but it just makes my installation process a hell of a lot faster if I do it my way, basically. So I'm taking off the main bolt, main subframe bolt. It looks like this one just only had just the one main bolt. I know I said there's a pair of two 15mm bolts, but on this application, no, I keep thinking of the Malibus that got that, basically. And don't be like me and throw like the subframe on them. See, I just went over and just straightened it up. Next, I'm lowering the subframe. Should be able to lower it. I'm lowering it slowly because the front of the frame hangs on the front bumper, basically. So once you drop the rear some, you need to drop it enough. Make sure you get the lower control arm out the knuckle. Once you get this rear subframe hanging enough, you're gonna have to literally like wiggle it out. See how it's caught up under there, and then there's some more like in like the wheel lining, basically, that runs around it. You're kind of gonna have to remove some of it a little bit, move it out the way, whatever, and kind of like force it down. But just be careful not to damage anything. You'll see what I'm talking about once you in there and you're trying to get it out. Now this part will be hard on the ground to have one part of the frame dangling down and you're trying to get the front out. It's kind of like, you know, jammed in. See how I'm moving that lining out the way, and it should be able to drop down. Just that like lining itself, those shield prevent the subframe from coming out, and you would have thought it would have just fall out or like ripped out. Nah, they like strong enough to keep it in here. So gotta get that out first. Once you get that out, you should be able to rock it out. When you rock it, like pull back at the same time, and don't be like me and be extremely rough and had a subframe kind of like almost fall a little bit. Would be my first or second time having a subframe fall before. Bunch of shops I worked at be having shitty ass jacks, and that's literally what they have, shitty trans jacks. So it looks like something got caught here. I believe the sway bar, that bushing, that bracket right there must have got caught up back in the threads or something. I had to back it out a little bit. Now that I got that off, I'm wiggling it. You can see me rocking it. And you're gonna be at it for a couple of minutes. You're gonna have to finesse it out. So there's no specific technique. It's just that you gotta finesse it out. Now you see me pull the trans jack a lot farther back. That means I got it out. So now I'm lowering it. Make sure you get the. See how I say you didn't have to separate it, but you should have. So you didn't have to go through what I had to go through, and I just separated right now. I know I said I didn't have to, but I wasn't sure if I didn't have to. You know what I mean? Get what I'm saying? Just making sure everything is off the subframe, so that way I can just drop it down. I don't want any like wires hanging or anything that I could like break or like damage. So when you're dropping something heavy, you want to make sure you have all things out the way. Yeah, just cost you less money, less trouble, make the job a hell of a lot faster when things don't break, basically. So this trans jack is slow as hell, so it's dropping down on its own, and I'm just showing y'all how I got it mounted. So next I got that out the way, and mind you, the engine and transmission is held up together because it has two side mounts, one for the engine and one for the transmission. That's the only way I would have did this job. Like I'm able to get away with just dropping the subframe without supporting the engine. Now you can support the engine with the support fixture. I don't do that if I don't have to. It ain't like a GMC Acadia or some shit like that. Like then yeah, that's different because that engine is not held in by mounts. So next I'm draining the transmission fluid. The drain bolt is at the bottom of the pan. Is literally at the bottom of, not the pan, there is no pan. Just to cover the bottom of the transmission. There is a 11 millimeter screw. As soon as you back that off, then let your transmission drain out. And pay attention to your color, your transmission fluid too, always. That literally usually indicates what's going on. Could be going on with the transmission, so just kind of like, that's just a tip coming from a trans guy. I will be doing like tear downs and like rebuilds soon, but I gotta get like some type of organization going on because it's kind of like a hot mess at my job, and sometimes when I tear down the transmission I don't want no break. I just like to just tear it down and move on because I'll be busy. So 13 millimeter bolts on the axle. This intermediate axle, so it's two 13 millimeter bolts that mount onto the engine. And you'll see from the bottom that one I'm removing. I know I got like quick angles, but sometimes I like to drop my head when I got the camera on my head because like dust and stuff like the fall like fly right in my face. I mean, get in my eyes. And I don't even be wearing safety goggles like I should. Got that out the way. So now I'm gonna just take off the axle nut. The axle nut is a 13 millimeter nut, and I'm gonna use an air hammer with a pointed tip because it does have like some type of indentation where I could use that in the center of the, basically a striking point I can use in the center of the axle. It's already like pre-punched for me to, you know, drive it out of the hub basically. So once I got that out the hub, I should be able to, with my own hands, no help, we should be able to muscle that intermediate shaft out. Some of you might need help getting it out. It is a pain in the ass, but usually just however you get it out, just muscle it out and it'll come out with ease. Some fluid may drop out, some fluid may not drop out, but that's why we draining the fluid beforehand, right? Understood. So next, looks like we're almost there, y'all. Now once you get the subframe out, that means you almost there, and then according to the video, I got like 15 minutes left, or 15, almost 16 minutes left of the video. That means I am getting there. That means I am close. That's good. I may be able to release this video by tomorrow morning, all things go well. So next, I'm taking off, that is a mount that goes on the engine. This mount looks like it is for the dog bone mount that's on the frame. It looks like there's 3 18 millimeter bolts. 3 of them, it goes into the transmission. Now the bracket itself can stay on the engine. You don't have to remove that, but just only remove what's on the transmission. That will prevent you from getting the transmission out. And sneak that up in there with the swivel, and that whole entire bracket comes out. But there's also like a stay bracket that, like I said, mounts on the engine. You can leave that in place. You don't have to mess with that. Keep the bolts organized. Next, what am I doing? What are you doing, Leak? Next, I guess I'm gonna start. Give myself a second. Starter. I'm gonna take out the starter. And the starter is simple. It's held in with two 15 millimeter bolts. Once you get that out the way, then I guess we're gonna start. I'm trying to remove the knock sensor that's on the side of the starter, because that will prevent you from getting the starter out. And it's important to put this knock sensor back in, because it is hard as hell to put the knock sensor in while everything is together. So make sure it is one of the things you for certain you put back together. So take out the knock sensor, 13 millimeter bolt, and don't just separate the connector. Leave the connector on, just separate the sensor itself, move it out the way, because you need room for that starter to slide back for it to come out. And if you're that guy, you can get the starter out without removing the knock sensor, then I'll literally tip my hat to you. I don't know what it is you do. I follow the directions basically. So it looks like I'm still working that out, or I probably already got it out. So I'm gonna give myself a second again to, you know, get my thoughts together, figure out what's going on. Removing the bolts for the starter, basically. And I wish I could get my camera in there. I don't know why I did it from this angle and didn't pay attention. Whatever. So What am I doing? What are you doing, Lee? What are you doing? Still working out the starter bolts. And one more. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And that's all it is yeah, 2 15mm bolts. Now I think some of them come on like a little aluminum heat shield on it. This starter didn't have it. Like I said, someone has been in here before, so some stuff is kind of like missing a little bit. Not everything, just like little small stuff as I've listed so far already. And my light keep on dropping. I should have used like more lighting. Some of that lighting kind of like messed with the video look. Like it's too bright. I don't want the right things too bright. So let the starter hang. It won't damage anything letting it hang. It ain't that heavy. Nothing won't get damaged. Just literally let it hang. Or you could tuck it up somewhere by where the cooling fans is. Who cares? I don't care. So next I'm working out the torque converter bolts. There are total of 4. I believe is 4. It could be 3, but I remember seeing 4. But let's just count it out. I already took out 1. You're gonna rotate the crank. If you don't know about this process, then this ain't for you. You gotta rotate the crank around to get to the torque converter bolts, and that bolt on the transmission. I mean for the crank bolt is 19mm. So whatever it is, just set up. Make sure you got enough torque to spin the engine. So working out the second one. This is going to be important because you cannot take out the transmission. You can take out the transmission, but you're going to leave the torque converter in there, and you're just going to have fluid everywhere. It's just going to be messy, and you can damage the transmission at the same time. So just literally just do what I just said. Just separate it while you got it out right here, basically. Sometimes the engine be locked, and you got to take it out without the transmission, without the torque converter, and then you got to sneak the torque converter out. I had instances like that, and nobody wants to go through that because it's a pain in the ass. So, working out the third, and I believe there should be another one because I'm counting the bolts on the left. Should be one more. Rotate her around one more. And after you get your last one out, just to be sure, stick your finger in the hole where the starter at. Rotate the torque converter. If you rotate the torque converter, you know for a fact you don't have any more torque converter bolts. That's self-explanatory as this. So I'm working out my 4th one. That should come out with ease. And let me look. I'm trying to, if I could look up. Come on, Lee, what are you doing? Alright, next, I'm taking off the mount. It's 3 15mm bolts on this front. It's like a mount and a bracket situation that's on the front of the transmission. And you need that out. You could leave it in, but it will have to come off regardless if you're swapping out the transmission or rebuilding it. So you might as well just take it off right now. Save yourself a second or two. It literally takes like a couple seconds for it to come out. And after that, I guess I want to move ahead of the game. I believe I got like a 10mm nut and a 15mm nut. That's one for some type of main harness bracket and another one for another wire harness bracket. That goes on the transmission. So the one I'm working off now is a 15mm bolt. And you will need those off. That will prevent the transmission from coming out. So getting that off. And the other one is a 10mm nut. And next after that, which I should have told you to do beforehand, but sometimes it's hard to get it from the top. The TCM connector, Tcm connector, TCM connector, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you separate that. Usually there's a lock-in safety tab in it. Pull the lock the safety tab out. Once you get the safety tab out, then you have to push in another tab and rotate and latch over, the the latch, and you should be able to. It latches out basically. And there's a safety tab, so that's all that is. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass if you never had to deal with it before, but I'm pretty sure we got like shitload of videos and tips and tricks and shit to get it out. Either way, it's literally dummy proof. That's all it is. You got common sense, you can get it out. So I won't worry about like stressing yourself over it. Now, I'm getting to the end of the video closing because we almost there literally. And moving the harnesses out the way. You should have already put your transmission bolt back in too. I believe that's what I should be doing next because I'm getting prepared. I guess I am taking off the TCM connector. This one should come off with ease. Whoever worked on it before didn't put the safety tab back on it, or lost it, or broke it, or did something. But now I'm putting the drain bolt back on. So hopefully I should be working out the TCM connector next. Shouldn't be a connector on the side of the transmission. That should be for the Malibus. I don't know why I looked on the side of the trans like that. So I'm working out the TCM connector. I believe that is out. The latch is over, and I'm trying to see what else I got going on. Oh, this axle right here on this side. Don't pry on it. Just literally get you're gonna like strike at your striking pry bar to get it out, and the way that I just did. Just be careful not to damage anything, and get that axle out there. That axle I'll leave in the hub. I don't have to take it out. It's not like it's the intermediate, the axle with the intermediate shaft on it. It's long. This one on this side is short, so it's meaning it's not in my way or anything. I could leave it hanging basically. Got that hanging now, so you should have no fluid dripping out of it. Oh, pay attention to this rack. See, I got the rack all dangling like that. Don't do that. Like, I'm gonna rest it up on a sway bar. This whole entire sway bar. I'm just gonna sit it on there. Well, grab yourself some bungee cord, or you can do what I did and rest it on a sway bar, because you don't want it to separate from the steering shaft. And I do have a car on my lift like that. GMC Kitty would have slipped out of the shaft, and I'm gonna have to put it back in. And I ain't worrying about it because I'm gonna do a nice alignment on it and everything. But it's not the first time, second time, third time, fourth time happening. Just don't be leaving a rack hanging, is what I'm saying. So next, it looked like I'm working, I don't know. Oh, there's another transmission bolt, like in the front, like in the center, that was hard to get to from the top. But now that I got that mount out of the way, that black mount bracket setup thing, is a 15mm bolt. I got it with the ratchet wrench, and there should be a couple more transmission, only like maybe three more transmission bolts in place that I gotta remove and separate the side mount bolts from up top. I'm on a ladder right now, so those are if I can pay attention to my bolt sizes, I don't remember. Those should be at 18. I could be wrong. If it's not an 18, it's a 15, but I believe it's for this one, it could be an 18. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna try to be right at the same time. Now you're gonna notice how the engine dips down. You should have already had your trans jack set up in place on the transmission. Do not move on to this step without placing something to support the engine or the transmission at the bottom. I got the transmission jack already under it. That's why when I separate the side mount bolt, it only dropped down a few inches rather than try to fall out completely. There's the top mount on it, but you don't want to stress this mount too much. You see how I'm lowering it down on the transpo jack? I'm leveling it down. I want my engine to dip because this makes my installation process easier. Some people take this transmission without cocking it. I don't do it that way. That makes your job harder to install. I like my transmission always, like the whole engine and transmission dip when I'm coming out basically. So I got the engine supported at the bottom. Like I said, there's a side mount on the top. You don't want to ruin that too much to keep the engine sturdy. Removing the 15mm bolt at the bottom. There's another one on the left side of that, and there should be an 18mm bolt in the back of that transmission. There is some type of bracket cover that covers the back of the like where the engine and transmission made at, and like the flywheel setup. You'll see in a second once I get around to finding the socket I need and get it in there. If I can give myself a second. Oh, I got another bolt I gotta separate. 15mm bolt. So just literally go around your bell housing and separate all your bolts. There's another 15. And there should be that bracket up there in a second if I can go get that. I thought I had got the socket already, but I didn't. And here we go right there. And you'll see that bracket separate, the one I'm talking about. It don't seem like to me that something's important, but if it was there, then I guess it was important for a reason, you feel me? So once you get that out, you should have noticed your transmission should kind of like separated, like, yeah, just literally kind of like separated on its own. You might have to get like a prod bar. Most of these ones, when I do take them out, they could be different models. The torque converter like to literally stay lodged into the engine, like where the pilot bearing is, basically. So how I get that out is I make enough space in between, a couple inches backwards, I can sneak 2 prod bars in it, and I'll wiggle the prod bar from left to right with both prod bars, wiggle them left to right, welling out the torque converter out of the pilot bearing, basically for the on the engine side, basically. Fluid literally will come out. I don't know if you saw fluid coming out on this one, but like, I don't play that game with torque converter like leaking everywhere, so I don't want it to fall out either, so I literally try to like wiggle it back in place before I get it out. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but you literally do as I just stated, you should be good. So closing in on 2 minutes and a half, basically. So I got the torque converter out of place. So next, I'm going to lower the trans jack, and this pretty much kind of like, yeah, it completes the job basically. I'm done. Before you lower it down, make sure you got everything separated off of the transmission. Nothing in the way, nothing preventing it from coming down. No connectors, no hoses, no cables, no nothing. And as I make my descent, and I'm coming down, and that's it. Job like this can be done in your driveway. You can be done on the lift. If you don't have no experience with this, will make this job a hell of a lot faster. You're gonna need another brain. I don't always have people to come over and give me a hand, maybe for a second, to help me lift up a subframe or to carry the transmission and sit on top of the trans jack. Other than that, I really don't be having much help. Not that I don't want help, I'm a solo artist basically. I work best by myself. It's always been like that my whole life basically. But for you, you had to watch this video and you want things to go smooth, please have another brain with you. Please have another brain with you, because you guys both together will get out a hell of a lot fast basically. And everybody ain't going to be mechanically inclined like me. Everybody ain't going to be as good as me. But 2 is better than 1 in most instances basically. So I guess I'm trying to like line a torque converter back in there, because I don't want it to fall out and fluid leak everywhere. It's where the thing be holding like 2 quarts in there basically, or 3 depending on the size. But that's that. So I'm all done. So I'm Leak Auto Repair. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Leak Auto Repair, same as my YouTube. I'm on there more than I am on YouTube. I am there very frequently. You got any car questions, my email, leakautorepair@gmail.com. You can email me there. If you need car service, if you are in the tri-state area where I'm from, and like the Philadelphia area is my metropolitan area, feel free to email me. We can get you done. Comments, questions, everybody, make sure y'all leave it in below. Everything you got to say. And this applies to, this is the 3.6, so it's not going to be similar in process to other 3.6 designs, but this is for the Chevy Impala, and I forget which years, but I will list it. So make sure you guys hit the like button, make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you.